Welcome to the Clinton County Sports Show. We are live here at Fiesta Varacruz on WZA 106.9 CampusNation.com. This show is brought to you by Accurate Machining Company, Steel and Aluminum Sales. You can contact John Mashevsky at 937-584-5269. Also, Musselman Motor Cars, full line of automotive service. Where everyone knows your name, contact Chris Musselman or Ken Ferris, 937-366-6493. First up, we have Coach Scott Killen and the Wilmington Hurricane football team. Joining him tonight will be senior wide receiver and DB, Ben McAllister, junior linebacker, Connor Mitchell. Also, Coach J.D. McIntosh. It's good having you this week, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Give us a little rundown last week with New Richmond. I know it was, bad game, a lot of turnovers and things. Give us a little rundown there, what you think here.
Well, it's one of those that you look back and, you wish you could have done some things different. You wish you could have prepared a little bit differently because there was a big question mark, and that was their quarterback. In film, it showed that he had a labrum tear, and so we didn't know if he's going to play. We heard he's going to play, where he's going to play, how much he's going to play. And they went ahead and put him at running back. And I think that was one thing we talked about it as a staff. It really didn't talk with the kids about it because the scheme was the same. And looking back, I think him at running back makes them a much better team because he's the two-time SBAAC Player of the Year. And, when you mess up on assignments, he's going to burn you. And every time we did, he found where we're weak and exploited it. And I think he rushed for 242 yards. So, against a team like that, a team that's used to winning, a team that's been in the playoffs multiple years in a row, you can't do that. And plus then you look at the 4 turnovers we had. And for the first half, defensively we gave up 3 plays. 3 plays. One, I didn't tell Coach Mack this, but I got an email from the official apologizing for blowing the first call. Said he did mess up because Mason McIntosh pushed him out of bounds. Therefore, he was, he can't be the first one to touch the ball, and he was. And Mace knew that. Mace stopped on it, and he scored a touchdown. But it is what it is. The 7 points make a difference at that time. Yeah, maybe, but we still had bigger issues. But we got to take care of the ball better. We got to tackle.
It's kind of a rough year for me. To be honest with you, it's been 10 years I've been with these kids, and I love them like my own. And to think that at the end of this year, no matter what happens, they're going to move on and not be around anymore, and it's going to be a tough one for me. I can tell you that. Love them to death.
What is it like, getting an opportunity to coach your son there, and also, and I watch you coach, and you don't show no favoritism, anything towards anything. You are a roughneck, and that's what you do. How do you do that as a coach?
Roughneck. I like
roughneck. How do you go on and keep on keeping on there?
It's just part of the process. When they were in second grade, the one thing I've seen it as a varsity coach. I've got over 30 years of coaching. And going down and coaching these guys, I tried to make sure that no one could ever say that I played daddy ball. And you see that at times in youth ball and up through. And I think my son would tell you that I was probably harder on him than I was any other kid, but I think that was part of the process, too. I had to be because I didn't want people to think there was favoritism there. So,
and just for the record, there's been times where I had to tell JD, hey, let your kid breathe a little bit. But
definitely, we know you're harder on Mason than anybody. But, Coach, what does that mean, having somebody like JD come through all the way through the Pee Wee ranks, put that much time into most of it, I know, has all been voluntary. What's that do for your program to
have someone like with JD, just with his experience, one, experience coaching over 30 years. Second, knowing the boys like he does all the way through, but not just the senior class, but he knows the juniors and the sophomores and the freshmen all the way up through is huge because he helps me out with, hey, this kid needs this. This kid, I can always go to him for kind of like that advice. And then, and just having someone from the community, like, be on my staff that kind of knows what's going on. And he kind of keeps me in the loop with, hey, heard this, watch out for this. Or, but I talk to him about every day outside of football, like, all right, what do you think about this? If they do this, what are we going to do? Or the best, like last week was, so what do you think about practice? Think we're all right? Think we're all right? And we get to the game, I look at him like, we're not all right. He goes, no. So, but, I mean, having someone with that much experience, not just with football, but with the kids in the community, for me, is a tremendous asset.
Now we're going to go to Ben here. Ben, good having you here tonight with us. You're playing DB. You missed your junior season, didn't play. What's it like? Why'd you come back out, and what is the big key factor this year?
Oh, yeah, I miss Coach Mack, obviously. Well, I just came back. I just missed all the guys. I missed being out there, missed being a part of the team, and, golf just wasn't that fun.
So, and the fact in DB, what do you like about playing in the secondary? And what's the big special thing there? Is it being with?
I mean, I think it's pretty cool because I can always be like, my uncle was a pretty good football player.
Pretty good.
He was pretty good.
He's in the state record books, bud.
Oh yeah, so I mean, he's all right. But I think the best thing is when I was younger, he'd always help me out and everything. I remember this one time in 6th grade, first year playing football, we went out to the backyard. Never tackled anyone in my life. We were out there, and he said, I was tackling. What was I tackling?
You was tackling. Literally, we
It
went up there.
It was an ironing board, dude.
It was an ironing board, and we put, just old foam around an ironing board, and he was tackling a foam ironing board. And I told him he needs to put his face in the sternum and put his head through someone's chest and poke it out their back, and then he'll see the other side. And the thing is, when you see the other side
of the ironing
you do
board.
realize that, like, now that's, like, really bad to say that.
Yeah. But the thing is, and you know what? And he believes in me, and I believe in him. And the thing is, that's the good thing about having Ben and Connor on here, which is part of my family. And not only that, you're part of my family, Coach Killen, and also McIntosh. We're all Hurricane family. What does it mean, to have these two young athletes here, sitting here, and their dedication to the game?
Well, just like any player that goes through what they have to go through, I got a lot of respect for. And hopefully they'll tell you that, I care for them deeply. I love them to death and would do anything for them. But having them part, Ben coming out his senior year has been huge.
What'd I tell you? Was he coming out? That did what I said.
You did. You did say.
I said Big Ben's coming out.
Before he even.
He went, no. What did you say?
Before he did, Ben, he said, before you sent me a text and stuff, he's like, I guarantee you Ben McAllister will be out. And I'm like, all right. Because I thought golf was your thing. And then he showed up, and I'm like, sweet, because what it does is it provides us depth on the offense and defensive side, which we need depth, and he's our first corner in and can play most of the game, without worrying about him. And then having Connor, a multi-sport athlete, he's a bowler too. You didn't mention bowling. He's a bowler.
Not anymore.
Got a great strong right hand.
Yeah,
uppercut, killer uppercut.
But no, like Connor, look with lacrosse, he never missed a football workout. Still did lacrosse, which is huge. Even during lacrosse season, he still showed up in the weight room and did what he could, as a great example. And I just think the world of those two and all the kids that go through what they have to go through, getting up at 6 a.m. And then doing everything that's expected of them outside of school, outside of the field, is huge because you both had jobs, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, they both had jobs. And Ben, you're still working, aren't you?
I watched him work with
there.
his Papaw Shelby there, doing a little bit of siding there.
Of both you boys, everything you do in life, the way you handle yourself on and off the field, and hope you have continued success in whatever you decide to do in life. And just on a personal level, I'm very proud of both of you.
Thank you.
Coach McIntosh, real quick before we wrap things up here, what's your plans after this year? I know you been coaching for a long time. What's your plans? Are you going to come back to the Hurricane?
As long as Coach Killen will have me, I'll be here. So, and I've had that question asked a lot. Are you done coaching? I was coaching long before I had a kid playing the game, and I'll be coaching long after. I love the game. I love the sport. I love the kids. I just love being around them. This is what I love to do. So I'm going to be around. I'm
Good
not
answer.
leaving anywhere. My wife won't let me either. I've got to keep working, she said.
Hey, and also
I'm still trying to give him a new phone.
New phone.
He needs a new phone.
No,
still doing the flip
also, I'd like to shout out a little bit. Drew East, your nephew.
Yep.
I had an opportunity to play football with him, and he's passed on, went to heaven, and things like that. I want to shout out to him. What's some of the things? He was a great football player as
tremendous.
well. Tremendous football player. And what's some of the things that you say to your son and talk about him about that?
Drew's ability to see the football. I was able to coach at East Clinton for a few years back when Andy Helms was there, and really had a good time coaching varsity ball with those boys. And I tell anybody that the group of receivers we had at that point was probably one of the best group of receivers I ever got the opportunity to coach, with Drew and Seth Howard and Cody Burlisle was another one that was there, and
Great athlete.
and David Howard.
Yep.
There were some great kids. We had a great quarterback, by the way.
Billy Blackburn.
Yeah, and Billy Blackburn.
Lester Robinson running back.
Lester Robinson.
Animal.
Yeah, we had a pretty good ball club back in the day back then, but just the way Drew went about the game and the way as a receiver he saw the football, no matter where he was, what he was doing. If he was able to get a hand on the ball, he didn't drop it.
Now, did that affect your football by coaching? Is that the reason why you started coaching, or was it long before that?
No, I started coaching long before that. I think the first time I coached, I was 19 years old, and I coached freshman football here at Wilmington. Went on and coached a number of years in middle school for Roger Ilg, and the job kind of pulled me away for a few years, but then I was able to get back with East Clinton back in the early 2000s, and been back at it ever since. So
That is awesome.
yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Coach Killen, it's been good having you.
Thanks for having me.
Real quick before we get off here, give us a little prediction. I want to hear about Goshen. What do you think about Goshen this week coming up? We got to hear it.
Well, I mean, I look at Goshen as I told the boys this. They're defending league champs. There was the SBAC three-way tie last year, so they're league champs, and we're still in it. Okay, we dropped our first league game, but we can still make a dent. It's huge going there and kind of seeing where they're at. They just came off a shootout.
Support the troops and our East Clinton Marine and teammate Brett Whiteman. The show is also brought to you by Accurate Machine and the company in Weld Aluminum Sales. You can contact John Mashevsky at 937-584-5269. Last but not least, Musselman Motor Cars, full line of automotive service. Where everybody knows your name. Contact Chris Musselman or Ken Ferris at 937-366-6493. Next up here we have Coach Brian Moore with Wilmington College here. Wilmington had a game against Heidelberg this past Saturday. Struggle, a little loss there. Coach, let's walk us through a little bit there.
Yeah, really disappointing effort on our part, which certainly as a head coach that falls on my head 100%. I don't feel like I got the most out of my team that we've got in the first three. The first three games, really pleased with their effort, really pleased with their energy, how hard they competed. And I didn't get that energy out of them on Saturday as much as what I got the first three games. And that's on me, and that has to be fixed 100%. I think that was a big part of it. I don't feel like Heidelberg had superior talent. I don't feel like there were mismatches that they were exploiting. I just feel like I didn't get as much out of my guys. And if I'd have got everything that my guys had to offer, I feel like that could have been a different football game.
You feel as if you guys, Heidelberg's first three possessions, they scored 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Okay, you guys come back, bounce back. Barrett throws a touchdown pass there to Luke Richardson. Okay. You guys come back out after halftime, bounce back, and score again. Do you feel like the first three, if you guys may have stopped them, maybe one of the possessions, do you feel as if you would have had a better chance there?
Yeah, there was a point in the game, and again, and I don't think we're at that point yet as a program of understanding moments, of this is a critical moment. And there was a moment there going into half where we were driving the ball on offense with a chance, I think, to cut it to a 1-score or 2-score game. And we were driving consistently down the field, almost in field goal range, and we were getting the ball in the second half. So we were at a great chance to double up and really take a lead early in the third quarter. We ended up throwing a pick on a deflected ball there, and they got the ball back, and that really just took all the life out of us for whatever reason. We didn't respond to adversity very well there. And even in that moment, I didn't feel like our kids were understanding, holy cow, when we convert this drive, even with a field goal, we got this thing to 1 score. We get the ball coming back in the second half. We're right where we need to be. And, again, that has to be me finding the heart of that team to get them to understand that, yeah, we gave up a couple of scores early, but god dang, we're still in this thing with a chance to tie this thing up.
Coach, you mentioned the tipped interception. You did cut down on the turnovers this week. Was that a point of emphasis going into?
I like him. He's a good guy. I want to hear what you have to say about him because sometimes, I ask about Coach Brian Moore to other athletes, and I want to hear a little bit about Coach Byrne here.
Yeah, let's hear about Coach Byrne.
He's a great coach. He's honest with us. He lets us know what we did right, what he did wrong, and he's just a good coach.
Paris, playing DB over here. You're a sophomore this year, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
And this year, I think last year you had 34 solo tackles. Not solo, 34 tackles there. Played in all 10 games. This year, what from last year this year, what is the things that you've been working on from last year this year?
I've been trying to work on better communication. I feel like that's the key point of our defense. That's something that we lacked on last game. Better communication, the better the defense will be.
From high school, you played at Holy Cross there in Cincinnati. Thing about it is, what was the transition you made when Coach Brian Moore talked with you your freshman year? What's some of the things differently that you've done from high school being into college? Because a lot of kids don't know right now what it takes. And the thing is, you're on your own schedule in college. You got to be a man and go to class, get up, do your thing, go lift, go do what you got to do, but also, be a man.
Right. It was a hard transition from being home and going to college and having to go to every class by yourself without you having to go to school. So that was a hard transition. And then going into football, to class, meetings, and then going on to the next day with the same thing, it was just something hard to go through. But as time went on, it was like easier and easier, and it made it much better.
You think you can cover me?
You don't even believe that coming out your mouth.
I love it. And I watched you play last year, Paris. Did a great job.
Thank you.
I mean, I'll never forget. I know number 4 out there busting butt.
Yes, sir.
And I love that. And the thing is, having a hometown boy from Blanchester here that won Lombardi just busting by. Coach, what does it mean, honestly, to you having guys like Paris and Dylan here?
It's everything. Like the team I have right now is we're still growing and still learning each other. We were talking the other day as a coach and staff of how much we love these kids, how much because of how we recruited them and the sacrifices they make for us. We don't make it easy on them. Their schedule is not easy with all the stuff we're asking them to do. And they keep putting out sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice. And there's a general caring between of how our coaches feel about our players that their struggles become our struggles. And when kids are going through something, whether it's their home life, whether it's classes, or they're struggling financially or something like that, that's a burden our coaches feel too. And I think that's what is drawing this program together, that there is a lot of caring and there is a lot of compassion that goes both ways. And I think that's how you build the right like even last year when we had a huge win against Capital and a night game and all that kind of stuff, it was great for the players. It's success, but there wasn't a whole lot of growth. There wasn't as much learning in that because everybody focused on the win and not on the fact that, hey, it wasn't necessarily us making plays. That was them. They screwed up a lot, and we didn't make a ton of plays. And that's what we'll always coach here is not the scoreboard, not the end result. It's what happened in the middle of that story.
You know, Coach, I really respect that. Wilmington College, you took over last year and done a great job. And a lot of people sat back, and they don't realize over the past 4 games, you guys have got 1,493 yards total offense.
Right.
You've done a great job. Thing is, man, we're in one of the best conferences, OAC.
That's a fact.
Best conference in football, Division III.
Correct.
And the thing is, you're getting ready to face Mount Union. But here's the thing. You got to move forward. Having 88% of your team that is freshman, sophomore, keeping those guys there. And having Paris here, having Dylan here, sitting here talking and speaking the truth, and they're starting to build it. They are 20 of the sophomores that are still here grinding.
Correct.
Of the 4% you talked about that stays all 4 years.
Right.
And the big thing is, and looking at Paris and Dylan here, Paris, real quick, Coach said a couple weeks ago, he says, out of all 4 years, a college kid, starting out from freshman to senior, 4% stays. Are you going to be one of those 4%?
Absolutely.
What are you going to do differently? I mean, from this point, from today forward and moving forward, than you did yesterday?
Honestly, I feel like I need to talk more with my position. My DBs, the freshmen, sophomore, all of us. We all young. We got to get together. We got to come together as brothers. That's what I think we should do.
How much you believe in Coach Brian Moore?
100%.
Yeah, good
Has
answer.
it been
Right
a
on the
different?
spot there.
Has it been a different atmosphere and different from at Holy Cross there in Cincinnati? You went. Has it been different?
Yes, sir.
What is some of the things you do? Position coach. Who's your position coach there?
Coach Kennedy.
Okay. What do you like about that there?
I like that he a young coach. So a lot of players growing up, you got older coaches, so you don't feel comfortable talking to them. So as time go on, you be like, I don't want to talk to my coach. But he don't been so young and close to our age. It's so comfortable talking to him personal problems or about stuff on the field. You don't got to go to one of your teammates and be like, hey, you know this or this. You feel so comfortable talking to the coach. And it helps us out more. And we just like, we can talk to him about anything. So and that helps us out in practice too. In practice, middle of practice, if you don't get something, we can just run up to him and be like, what was I supposed to do on that right there? And he'd just basically narrow it down from there.
That's good. Dylan, real quick, I want to ask you a question. Difference there, playing at Blanchester, and we talked just a second ago with Coach Brian Moore, and just like Dylan just said, when Coach Moore come and talk to you, you was sold out. And the thing is, if you're a head coach and you're a good guy, I mean, you want your head coach, you want to be sold out to him. And I'm not going to go play for a guy that is a bum, somebody that don't care about you, somebody that don't. How did that mean the day that he come in and talked with you and being a Lombardi winner? I mean, what's it feel like? A guy like Coach Moore, that he really does honestly care.
I mean, it feels great because it makes you want to actually play for them. If you don't have a coach that doesn't care, you just show up to practice every day like, oh, man, here we go again. It's like a job, but he makes it actually fun. It's not a job.
Coach Moore, going back to this game, of course, we interviewed at Wilmington and New Richmond game there, the high school game, and I told you, I said, predict the score a little bit, and you said, I ain't doing that. And you said 42-44.
You're right.
Either way, I don't care. You're a recruiter. How hard is that, though, when you get to know and you got a niche with somebody and you're friends with somebody like me, Chad, and you're on the show, and we're Wilmington High School's on the show, and but you're recruiting a guy from New Richmond.
Right. You know, it's like every time you got a hot mic in your hand, any question can pop up that offends somebody. If you're
talking about one team too much. You didn't talk about New Richmond enough. If you got New Richmond listeners say, oh, that guy's just favoring Wilmington because he lives in that town, or vice versa. If I don't talk about Wilmington enough, they're like, hey, that's my hometown coach, and he's not loving us up. So there's always a tricky part of that. But, I mean, that's a profession. It's you kind of get used to it after a while. You try to make, just like your players, you want to show those recruits at both schools that I'm honest. I'm legit. I speak from the heart. I speak from the gut. I'm not trying to Jedi mind trick you or anything like that. This is who I am. I'm consistent every day. You don't get ups and downs from me. You get this. You get pure passion every day and pure caring. And when you're consistent and it comes from the heart, you don't worry about being fake or people not seeing how genuine you are.
Coach, this week you guys play Mount Union, big powerhouse, and the thing is, you guys are young, a lot of freshmen, sophomores, and we're not going to keep talking about that because next year we're going to start being upperclassmen. I'm a Quaker.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
I'll die, live and die. I'm a Quaker.
Yeah, buddy.
Big thing is, going against a team that has built a program, how do you move forward fighting, and what are you telling your kids in the locker room here?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have this discussion tomorrow at our team meeting about this, and we'll talk about the elephant in the room, and that elephant being Mount Union, probably the greatest established dynasty in all of college sports, including UCLA's basketball team back in the day. The longevity of this thing is pretty amazing. We'll talk about the experience that they have. Just, you get to play the number one team in the country, pretty much not playing the way he would have in high school.
Fellas, about this time last year, my stepson came home from working his job at McDee's and had a picture taken with Buster Douglas, of all people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys might be too young to remember this, but, I mean, this is your opportunity. Buster Douglas was like a 201 odd to beat Mike Tyson and knocked him out in Japan. I mean, this is the game, right?
Right.
Go out, give it everything you got.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
And that's really the only sell you got is there ain't anybody on planet Earth that's going to pick you to win or even be competitive in that game. And as long as we got a football in our hands, as long as we put 11 guys on the field, hey, we're going to fight. We're going to keep that thing as competitive as we can, and we're going to take our shots when our shots are there. And that's the fun of playing in this conference. And week after week, you get a chance to shock the world and show some people some stuff that they never thought was possible.
Hey, Dylan, I want to ask you a question real quick. And I always like to ask this every now and then. What is your career choice here at Wilmington College, and what do you plan to do after school here?
I'm a sports management major with a minor in coaching, so somewhere along the lines of coaching, hopefully.
Paris, I can almost bet you're a criminal justice athletic trainer. Is that what you're majoring in?
Criminal justice.
I knew it. I looked at you, I was like, man, Paris is, hey, I knew that. But this week, though, Paris, coming in at Mount Union, you're going to Mount Union. Let's give us a little rundown. Real quick, 2 words to Mount Union, what they got to be prepared for Paris Withersby.
Keep it pushing.
Keep pushing. What about Kyle?
What's the question?
The question was, I said, what can Mount Union expect from you, Dylan?
Our air game. We've done a great job at passing the ball this year.
Good. Well, this is Chris Weiskup, Chad McAllister, Coach Brian Moore. This is our Clinton County Sports Show. I appreciate it. You guys, good luck this week. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope you guys, hey, good job, Perry. So that was Wilmington College here. We'd like to thank Accurate Machine and Weld Company, Steel and Aluminum. You can contact John Mashevsky at 937-584-5269. Also, Musselman Motor Cars, full line automotive service. Where everyone knows your name, contact Chris Musselman or Ken Ferris, 937-366-6493. Also, Chaz's DJ service and event can bring music to the reunions, birthday parties, and other events. Contact Charlie Hargrave at 937-218-2290.
You just wish it was under better circumstances.
But it's okay. I mean, everyone lost this week, so, and it's not even just
Everyone lost?
all three.
Oh.
Of our, Wilmington College, and East Clinton. But the thing is, it happens.
It does.
But what's some of the things this week that you could take from this loss that you can move on next week with league play?
We threw the ball better. We were getting the ball out in the space, which we're at our best when we can do that. Branson had 8 catches for 95 yards. So we did do that well. Our hurry-up offense right before the half, they kicked off to us with 41 seconds, and we were able to get down the field and get it in field goal range, kick a field goal right before half to cut it to 19-10. So, I told the kids that was pretty good on their part to be able to do that and execute that and get that done and get a field goal off. And because that's something that we practice each week, just trying to hurry up and get down the field, get a field goal kicked. So, we executed that well. So those are the good things that we took away from the game.
Good.
Well, Coach, it's a younger group with you guys as well. You got a lot of younger kids playing pretty quickly at a varsity level, right? Just by your numbers. Do you feel as the season's going along that they're maturing, getting more used to playing at that level?
Yeah, I think. I mean, we are playing a lot of young guys. But, yeah, I think they're getting a little bit better. Each week they grow a little. And the key for us each week is just trying to stay healthy. We don't have a lot of guys. We played a JV game. It was actually the first full JV game we played Saturday morning, and we had 15 guys dressed for it. So
wow,
it's tough just to squeeze that out of them. We ended up getting an injury last week, and one of our starting linemen. And last Friday was the first week that our entire starting 5 actually started together. And then Mason Huff breaks a hand, and he may be done for the year. We don't know, but he's a 2-way starter. So there you got to shuffle things back around again.
Branson, I want to ask you a little question here. Last year, freshman, you got some varsity action. Also, you play basketball. Watched you play some basketball there at East Clinton, varsity action. From last year to this year, the transactions and things, do you feel as if you got to step into that leadership role? Where do you put yourself now here at East Clinton? Up here, yeah. Just you're all right.
Somewhat leadership, yeah. More? All right. Somewhat leadership.
Big thing is in the off season, working. I know Coach Yankee runs a big tight ship there in the weight room, also strength lab. How much work do you put in on the off season there?
I was like 85% of workouts this summer. Yeah. And Jared came with us.
Your brother's playing there too, Jaron. You guys are a freshman sophomore duo. What can you tell the younger kids? Because I had an opportunity to coach with Coach Yankee. Great coach. One of my mentors, my son there, and I'm like, man, I'd love to. But we didn't make that decision. You didn't make that decision. Where is their program at now, and where's East Clinton program now?
Well, they joined last year when we joined the Southern Buckeye Conference, along with Wilmington and Clinton-Massie, to get it to 12 football schools. Fayetteville joined also Southern Buckeye Conference, but only football. All the other sports, they're still in the Southern Hills League. So they've had actually, by record-wise, had really good programs over the past few years. They've had some 7- and 8-win seasons. Their non-league schedule is they play a lot of D7 schools the first 4 weeks, and then week 5 they played Batavia, and then league play just started this week, and they played Claremont Northeastern this past Friday. But they started 4-0 as they did last year, and then they've lost a couple in a row here. Their schedule gets a little tougher as they get into league play, where for us it's kind of the opposite. Our schedule is pretty heavy up front. And then it gets theoretically a little easier towards the end, but
due to the size of schools.
Yeah. I mean, because Fayetteville's Division 6, a little bit smaller than us. I talked to Coach Finch down there this week, and they've got about 26 kids playing. They hope to play JV this week. They said they can get about 12. to play JV.
And see, that's very tough, too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the
it
thing is, like, Batavia beat them down. I mean, they beat up on them. It was like 42-6. Batavia is, D4 school.
Division 4, yeah.
Division 4 school. But the thing is, you got a team like Fayetteville, kind of similar to East Clinton before, and the thing is, growing at East Clinton and making things happen, I think East Clinton, and if I'm not right, we need to get a lot more teams our size. I think, getting into schools. You play D2 schools, D3 schools, got a lot of kids coming out. What do you feel about the strength of schedule and, like, Cedarville? That's who I played in my senior year at East Clinton. We need to put those on our schedule.
Well, Cedarville was a good game for us this year. We look back at that, and it's one that we let get away. And, things could have went differently either way. But it's good having Cedarville back on the schedule. They replaced Batavia for us, so that, that was good. And then, that's our week 2 game. And then our week 3 and 4 game is Greenfield and Hillsboro. And they're close. They're bigger than us, but, they're so close to us. It's a good rivalry. There's always good gates. And it's, I think that, and like Hillsboro's really strong. Greenfield did get us this year. We'd beaten them the past couple prior to that. But I think those are good non-league games for us, even though they're a little bit bigger. Those are pretty good non-league games. Next year, week 5, we pick up Minford High School from out of Portsmouth area. And the last 6 years, they've been about like us, 3-7, 4-6, right around there. Now they're actually off to a 5-1 start. They just got beat this past week. But being a D5 school, even like us, they typically get 50 to 60 kids out. They always have a good-sized roster. So they'll come here and play us next year.
And you look at it, and, of course, anybody tuning.
That puts us at exactly 10 linemen to play this weekend. I got 5 for Friday, 5 for Saturday. So, you get into the whole issue of you're only allowed so many quarters per weekend. If someone gets hurt on Friday, now you got to plug someone in. Well, now they can't play, and then you got to cancel a game because of one injury. It's extremely tough, and I wish we had the depth where things like that really didn't affect us, but it just does, it really does.
What are the high school rules as far as that's concerned? I know they've kind of changed a little bit over the years.
Well, you can play at the high school level, you can play 50 quarters in a season. So basically that allows you 5 quarters a weekend for 10 weeks. Now, if you play on a play that involves, like on Friday night, let's say you get a kid out there and he's just on the kickoff team. Any play that involves a kick does not count as a play in that quarter. If it's a play from scrimmage, offensively or defensively, then it counts. So, it can work a little bit like that.
It's got to be consecutive plays. Is that what it is?
No, just any one play out there.
Wow.
Unless it involves a kick, that doesn't count against that kid for a quarter. But if you're out there on O or D, you're out there one play. That's one quarter.
So a team like you guys like East Clinton, size of that, that's kind of like a disadvantage. You want to play some games. You got to get kids off the field. Back when I played, I bet I played 10 quarters or 8 quarters. I'd play 8 quarters. I'd play the whole night before so it's changed and the game's changed. Now, how do they document that?
I don't. There's no one really that's there. I mean, of course, everyone has film now. It's just kind of an honor system to the coaches, and you got to watch that. And it's all about the kids' safety. So we do try to monitor that. Like this weekend, we played Friday night, and I had the JV roster already highlighted who could play, and then the number of quarters each kid could play. So we tried to really pay attention to that this past Saturday as we played Williamsburg. And we fit it all in there, and we got to play. But, it's tough. It's hard because, well, just like this week right now, like we got 32 kids on our roster. One of them is no longer eligible to play because of the transfer rule. 2 of them are ineligible that we might get one of them back the last few games, but that's 3 kids that just can't play this weekend. Then we got another kid out because of an injury, and then Mason goes out because of an injury. So that's putting me down to 27 kids. Well, one of our kids is just a kicker and a punter. Now I got 26 kids to try to play 2 games.
Let's stop. Branson, you played Wilmington last week, well, the week before last. You got set out there the first half. Disciplinary there.
Bad.
Do you think it's proper there? How'd you feel about, having to set out for the first? Coach Yankee runs a tight ship. And the thing is, discipline is very, very important. What would you say to the kids, too, about the discipline?
Don't do what I did, mess around in practice. That's what I got mad about. I wanted to play versus Wilmington.
One thing we tried to start doing this year was actually teaching them how to watch film.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of kids, they'll watch it, but it's just like watching a game. They just follow the ball, not necessarily watching what they need to watch. So we've tried to teach them a little bit this year on what to look for, depending on what position they're playing, just to try to help educate them a little bit on, what's important to look at when they're watching that stuff.
And I watch and coaching with you, and we watch that, and I remember the first time that I was coaching linebackers, and you looked at me and you said, watch your linebackers. They keep backpedaling. And I'm like, I'm watching the ball. I was a 20-year-old kid watching, linebackers backpedal, but I was watching the ball.
Our linebackers are still backpedaling.
No.
They are now. I've showed them on film. They were still doing it.
Getting down deep into it, though, Williamsburg, do you feel as if Williamsburg is a 30-plus point better than East Clinton?
According to our defense, yes. The only time that we stopped Williamsburg Friday night when they didn't score a touchdown was when time ran out in the game. They scored every possession. We could not stop them. Now, we moved the ball okay on offense. We took the opening possession, went down, scored. The second possession come around, and we end up 3rd and 32 because we end up with 3 false starts. We end up snapping the ball over our quarterback's head. We end up getting a personal foul as well. So, we just killed ourselves on that drive. And that happened a few other times. We only punted once, but we forced a couple passes and, threw a couple picks. And if we wouldn't have stopped ourselves, I think we could have scored on them like they scored on us. But, we just we haven't stopped anyone all year on defense, and that continues to be a problem.
Where do you think, and is it up front that what's going wrong? And I talked with you the other night. Up front, it's tough when you're playing a receiver, and your boy Cameron is also playing. Those guys are great skill position players, having to play the defensive line due to the fact that the bigger guys ain't coming out.
Well, it is. It's unusual. When I told our kids today, it's like I don't know of any other high school team I've ever seen. I've been watching high school football for over 30-some years. I've never seen a team anywhere play a wide receiver at nose guard. And he starts a wide receiver and he's playing nose guard. He's 165 pounds. Cameron plays D. He's been playing nose or D tackle. He's 170. Robert Norman's probably the biggest kid that plays our D line, and he's right at 200. Seth Garrison's 180. Dalton Wilson plays it. He's about 170, 180. And, all 6 opponents that we've played this year are just so much bigger than us up front. And, we're not that tough anyways, so they're just pounding us. And our linebacking play has been poor all season. And Branson's the safety, and he's leading our team with, I don't know how many tackles now, about 48 or so. He probably can't say that on air.
No, he can't. All right, so here it is. We had East Clinton, Wilmington, and Wilmington College here tonight. This was Coach Yankee, Branson Smith, Nathan Vest, Chad McAllister, and Chris Weiskup on WZA 106.9. We are out. Also, I would like to do a little thing here for the Brett Whiteman Memorial 5K Run. I'd like Coach Yankee to speak a little bit about that. It's Saturday, November 10th, 2018. It begins at Sabina Elementary School, 246 West Washington Street, Sabina, Ohio. Entry fee is $30 for pre-registers. Includes breakfast and a shirt, $35 after October 31st. Come join the 5K run and support the troops and our East Clinton Marine and teammate Brett Whiteman. Coach, real quick, tell us a little bit about this so that people can know and come out and really support it.
Yeah, it's a great event. Actually, about 8, I guess it's been a little more than 8 years ago, Keith Whiteman, Brett's father, came to me and said he would like to do something to give back to the youth football program and keep Brett's name alive and going. And he's talking about doing a 5K or something. And so we come up with that basically second Saturday in November. It's right around Veterans Day, so it kind of falls on a neat time of the year. And we took it and started doing it, and it's kind of grown and gotten a lot better. And I don't really have too much to do with it anymore as far as running it, but for about the first 4 or 5 years I did. And it's really a special event. Brett meant a lot to me, and he was, of course, just a year older than you in school, and you played with him, and I coached